I want to share with you even before I get started in my story. And because I've never shared this before, because I thought that people might think I was weird. I am weird. We're all weird in our own way, right? When the band was playing George Harrison's song, I mean, all of the songs were so beautiful. There was so much synchronicity in that for me, because as I was being gleaned and led into who I've become, and unbeknownst to my family, I'm not the same person or the same girl that my husband married. So many things in my life have changed. But when I was being taught and told, as the band said in the other song, I'm supposed to talk about this. I'm supposed to talk about the other side, and was not a speaker. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And in dreams, there are people that are used as references. We can be dreaming about Uncle Harry, and it is probably not literally about Uncle Harry. It's about what he represents to you. And when we have a dream that is strange like that, where we don't quite understand why Uncle Harry was in the dream, I haven't thought of him in years, it's more what he represents. And that song with George Harrison representing a seeker to me, somebody who, when I was seeking, I'm still seeking, of course, but when I was seriously lost in the wilderness and looking for answers and deliberate and intentional with my seeking, George Harrison seemed to be one older than me, and I recognized him as someone who really, really wanted to know, wanted the answers. And so I share this, that I spent a lot of time with George Harrison in my dreams, with my spirit guide, wondering what I have to offer to someone like this renowned, famous seeker. Who am I? Who am I to be trying to teach him? But I was shown that there's a lot to be taught. And so I hope what I have to say will inspire, will reach, as we were speaking earlier, a mustard seed, so to speak. What I am given in my dreams and spirit school are parables and metaphors, so that I'm able to bring them back and share them, because we, as noted earlier, deep breath, Claudia. I'm sorry, you guys got to me. You're wonderful. Is that we need to build a foundation. You know, we wonder why are we here? What is our purpose? What is our mission in this life? And we imagine it to be this huge, big thing that we're supposed to be doing. And that's a rough thing to carry around with us. And especially as we get older, you know, I'm 72 next month. It's like, have I done it? You know, it's as my gray hair shines in this video, it's like, you know, you're getting closer to the end. Did I accomplish my mission? Well, apparently I haven't, or I would be on the other side, right? I digress, and let me start with my story, because you guys have no idea who I am. I had an experience of death. It'll be 40 years. It was 40 years a week ago, when I was having my last child. I had 4 healthy children at home, and I was within a couple of days of my due date, and I had an intuition that I should be checked out. Now, I wasn't in any kind of pain or anything, and I was like, where is this coming from? But I had a contraction, which is the first stage of, you know, having a baby, is all the muscles start contracting and letting go. And I went into a contraction that didn't stop. It didn't let go. And I was with this contraction all day long. And it wasn't until and I kept just having this feeling I should go be checked. And I finally followed it. And that is one of the points that I wanted to share today is follow your gut, follow your intuition. It's a gift and it's there for a reason. And when I got to the hospital, I tried to explain why I was there. And, the nurse was kind of like, well, one contraction, it's not like you're really in labor. But, why don't you walk around the hospital and see if you can't get something going? Well, I didn't get 10 feet around the corner from the nurse's station when something said, no, don't go. I was at the elevator and there was a wheelchair at the elevator and I sat down in it. And my husband's like, you've walked 10 feet. And I said, I don't know. I'm just not supposed to go. And I stood back up after a moment and I just said, I got to go back. And they took pity on me. It was like, well, we'll check you out, we'll placate you. And I was given a gown and I was in the examination room when I started to bleed. It started with just a couple of drops, but it became dire very soon. And without getting too graphic, I was graphic in my book, and the time is short. I don't want to dwell on it, but I only had moments to live. I was healthy. I wasn't in pain. I had children at home. My husband was out in the waiting room filling out insurance papers, and I'm dying, and I'm being told I'm dying. The amount of blood was so quick. And I'll tell you now, because sometimes I forget, during that contraction, blood was going into the placenta, which is an organ that is between the mother and the baby that regulates food and warmth and water and everything else. It's important for the baby. The blood was going in and it wasn't all the way releasing. And so when it was as full as it could be, it exploded. They told me I had, it was like living shrapnel within my entire womb, and my baby was drowning in my blood. So I gave my permission, knowing that I was dying, to please save my baby. And the only way that it could do it in that amount of time was to hold my arms and legs down and cut my baby out. I had no anesthesia or operating room, or even an aspirin for that matter, not the warm hospital blankets. It was fast. And that's when the pain hit. That was no fun. But I did it in hopes that my baby could be saved. And when they pulled her, sorry, I hate even saying the word, her lifeless body from me, it was all I could take. And I left. I exited out the back of my body through my head, and I was above this scene that looked like a bloody war movie. It was, there was a lot of running around and yelling and code this, and, and I'd had enough. And I was me. I was me hovering over what I thought was me, but I was fine. I still had my personality and my same funnies and everything else, my memories, everything came with me. And I looked at this poor woman, this poor body that had just been through so much, in kind of a, I want to say pity, but that's, earth words are really hard. And, I felt sorry for her, but it was more like I had taken off my dirty overalls at the end of the day and just laid them over in the corner. It was no longer important. I didn't worry about what my funeral or what I would be wearing or, any of those things. I was okay. And I walked. I went through the wall into the waiting room and visited my husband for the last time, and saw that he was filling out the insurance forms. He was deep into writing his driver's license number down. And I just felt this wave of he was going to be okay. It was going to be hard on him, but everything was going to be okay. And I was following music in the hospital. And I found myself in a room with the television playing the MASH theme, da, 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 da. This had been interesting to me. And as I stood by the side of the bed of the gentleman who was watching this show, he had no reaction to me. Now, you'd think floating through walls might have given me a clue, but it was only then that when he didn't see me act like who was the heck standing by his bed, I realized that I was dead. And in the instant that I realized that, I was in this place of complete blackness. And it's been hard for me to say that out loud too, because of the fear of judgments after so many beautiful near-death experiences that go to waters of life, or a beautiful garden, or seeing grandma, or just all of the wonderful stories that we hear. I'm in this place of, it was enormous. The enormity of it is, I have no words, nor do I have words for how beautiful that darkness was and how loving that was. I felt scooped up and cradled in it. It was perfect. It was intelligent. It knew me intimately. It knew me and it loved me. And I knew that it loved me, and I could have stayed there forever. When I did enjoy the miracle of being brought back to life and learned that they had also saved my baby, they saved both of us. What a miracle that we both survived this. It was a long road recovery for both of us, and they worried if she would have a problem mentally, having been down so long. But it was her 40th birthday last week, and she's great. So we turned out okay. I'm a little abnormal, but I'm okay with it. But I wondered what happened to me, and why didn't I match other near-death experiences out there? And I studied them. And let me go back to the hospital, because when I woke up, in between the groggy and the bags of blood that they would bring in, trying to bring me up to a level where I could keep my eyes open. I mean, I was dire. It was a long recovery, weeks and weeks in the hospital, trying to build my blood up enough just to be able to send me home. My baby made it home long before I did. But there was a near-death experience researcher in the room I woke up to with her clipboard, and she was asking me, what did I hear, feel, who did I see when I was on the other side? And there had been no discrepancy or question of that I had been on the other side, because I was in the hospital when it happened, and it was recorded, and it was a teaching hospital. So this is why they had invited a researcher to come in. This is 1984, so there wasn't a whole lot of study or a whole lot of people talking about it at that time. And I had never heard an experience like mine. And when she asked me, where did I go? And I said, well, I went to the darkness, the blackness. And there was a wave of, for one thing, she wasn't going to get another great story. And I felt negativity. Now, maybe that was just what I read into her expression, but I grew up, I'm in Salt Lake now. I spent 25 years in Colorado, but Salt Lake City, Utah, the Mecca of the Mormon church. And this is how I grew up. And I worried about what my neighbors, what my mother might think if when they heard that I had gone to darkness, that they would equate that with something bad. And it wasn't anything bad. It was beautiful. It's so sacred to me that I pushed it down and into my heart, into the safest place that I could make for that experience. And it was mine. And I kept it mine. And I didn't talk about it because I didn't want any kind of retribution, or I didn't want to ever see that or hear a negativity about what I had gone through. And so I kept it to myself. But I explored and I looked, and I'm a true seeker. Not just in near-death experiences, but within every form of, we were talking earlier about before the audience was here, and oh, those conversations at first are so amazing, the synchronicities that come out. Sorry, I get talking and I lose my place. I'm just going to go on. I can't remember the road I was going down. 72. What are you going to do, right? Anyway, I searched for a near-death experience that was like mine, and I didn't find one. And so I call it kind of stumbling around in the darkness. And it was about 25 years until I just kind of got mad of, I would pray with candles, I would pray on my knees, I would pray, and then I would get mad sometimes, and I'd be like, I know there is more. I know that my experience was bigger than this. I just felt it, but I couldn't bring it into view. And I started having really these proficient dreams, and where I called them movie dreams, more than just those sandy, the moment you open your eyes, they just go away in a fog, and you're kind of like, I know I dreamed, but I don't remember what. Well, these were memorable. And I started noticing something on the side screen of my dreams, and it was someone in costume, funny costumes. And the one that I first paid attention to, because I'm in a regular dream, but I'm becoming lucid within my regular dream. I want to make sure I explained that. So off in the corner, here I am having a regular dream, but off in the corner is this somebody, something. And the day that I really noticed it, it was a chubby man with a cigar in his mouth, wearing a pink fairy outfit. And he turned and he had a hairy back. I mean, it was the funniest, like a cartoon. It was something I'm sure that I probably picked out of a cartoon. But he was holding a billboard that said, "Follow me." And he started bringing me to what I call spirit school. And so, as we were talking earlier about parables and metaphors, this is how my dreams, this is how my dreams went as I went to spirit school, is what I call it. I don't remember if they called it that, but that's what I named it. Good. I was in spirit school last night, and I was able to write down just as it happened. I try not to go into speculation of the other side, only what I'm given. And I'm still a seeker. I appreciate you guys being here as seekers. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I know we have a short time here, and so I wanted to leave you with a couple of messages. And let me start with an experiment. My grandchildren live with me, my daughter, my 40-year-old daughter, and my grandchildren live with me. And my husband is what you would call a proficient profanity expert. It just seems like there's always something awful coming out of his mouth as he sits at his desk, and the world's turning and he's trying to be a part of it and do his work and that, and swear words come out a lot in front of these sweet innocent children, and it's like, it drives me crazy. And I was teaching them that the way we speak and the way we are in the world, we can either put out a light or we can put out blackness. And it was funny because they'd kind of come up to me sometimes and go, Grandpa's putting out a lot of blackness today, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. um, and I decided to do an experiment with them and teach myself as well. So I don't know if you've heard of the rice experiment. We got 3 mason jars. We boiled them so they were completely no bacteria, anything. I could have canned my peaches that day. And we cooked rice. We boiled the measuring cup. We didn't touch anything other than scooping that 1/2 of cup of rice into the mason jars in 3s. And we named them. One jar was hate, one jar was love, and one jar was, it didn't get a title. It just was called the ignore jar. And for 1 minute, I let those kids rip out the worst, whatever they knew in this, second grade profanity and hate. And they were kind of uncomfortable doing it. I was like, tell it it's ugly, tell it you wish it would go away, that, whatever you want to say. And they were saying it and kind of looking at me like, are you sure this is okay, Grandma? And I was like, 1 minute, you got 15 seconds left. You say whatever you want that's mean to this rice. The next jar, and they labeled it. Let me reach down here. And they labeled it hate. The next jar was love. And we talked about how beautiful it was, how white it was, how good it tasted, everything wonderful we could talk to this rice about. This was in May of this year, at the beginning of school letting out things to do. Let me show you what hate turned out to be in 8 months. It's liquefied, it's black, it's awful. This is hate after how many? 8 months? Ignore was even worse. It liquefied almost right away. Black, awful, gnarly stuff in this jar. We didn't talk to it. We didn't touch it. Love. 8 months later, this is love. The kids come in and check it every couple of weeks. We leave it alone. I've put it in the back of the cupboard. And they want to throw it away because the hate and the ignore are so awful. But now I can't. I want to know how long this rice will stay white, under and around and surrounded and talked to with love. Your meeting today, to watch all of you hugging, and you could tell it was so genuine, of welcome, that my thoughts of what the topic today have changed, but I still want to bring it up, because maybe there is someone out there that this might help. Another point where I cry, because one of the gifts that I was given on the other side was to see myself as God saw me. It was beautiful. I was in what I call an oasis of trees and bushes with flowers and water, and I was in the middle of the water. And I even said out loud, she's doing really good, isn't she? And I thought of myself as lovely. We are all lovely. We are all magnificent. wonderful souls. And if we could see ourselves as God sees us, there's no way that we would treat each other the way that we do. I don't know if this is backwards. If it is, I'm sorry. You are enough. There's no chasing necessary. Be who you are. Be love. Let it shine from you. When you wonder about what your purpose in the world is, it's just being that light on your block, on your street, on your part of the world. There's a lot going on right now, and it looks so bad. Is it getting worse? I'm told it's not, but it's rising and bubbling to the top. And so it's easier to see. But if we who have chosen to come here at this point in the world, believe me, we chose to be here. We chose our adversities. We signed up for whatever reason. If nothing else, to be that light on your street. That's your purpose. Get us through this. And you are enough. Don't ever think of yourself as less than. If you could see yourself in God's eyes, you would be so proud of yourself. I have so many experiences that I would love to share with you, and I know our time was limited. I wanted to share my books with you, and I did send them in advance. I'm not trying to sell you a book, and but since I was guided to write them, I guess I should. So that's a hard thing for me to do. My first book is called Gifts from the Edge. I have 3 books, and they have all won awards. It is about spirit school and my experiences, but I wasn't even ready to talk about my near-death experience. I wrote a book and I only alluded to it. And I'm sorry now, but that's just kind of the way it was. I wasn't ready. I was this girl standing on the cliff, and I wanted more, and I wanted to jump. And there was that one footstep holding me back. What are the neighbors going to think? What if somebody sees me on this video? Are they going to think I'm weird? Are they, am I going to lose friends? Be who you are. I've never felt so free and so wonderful as to just finally have jumped that cliff and, as the band said, and fly. I'm flying right now, and I'm honored to have been given so much, which is why I call it gifts. And my last name is Edge, so it's kind of like somebody said, "Oh, a double entendre," and I went, "Oh, okay, what is that?" My second book is Lessons from the Edge. I did speak about my near-death experience. I spoke a lot about it. I also spoke about what the body goes through, the experiences of being with my mother when she passed. And I included a synopsis of the 10 things that I learned when I died. And it's been printed and reprinted out there. It's quite popular. So that's that book. The last one is We Touched Heaven. This is 47 different experiences, as we were speaking earlier about spiritual transformative experiences. You don't have to die. You don't to talk to God, to meet God. If it is intentional, if you're seeking, if you're asking, praying, as I did earlier, I kind of got mad at one point, was like, help, I want to know. And for whatever reason, however long it takes, I I don't think you can do it once or twice. I think you have to be pretty fervent about it. But if the intent is there, you will be given these gifts. So the 47 contributors in this book, We Touched Heaven, are from all over the world, different religions, non-religions, different walks of life, marine biologists, MDs, real estate agents, teachers, a hunter. One of the stories is of a hunter who, I won't give away the whole story, but their souls felt like they had exchanged, and he was living, the hunter was living within the animal for these few moments, and vice versa, and what he learned from that. And it's not a negative experience. Anyway, that's in this book. I'm going to hang out because I love meeting new people. I think the internet is awesome. Friend me. You can reach me through claudiaedge.com. We can have conversations. I wish I'd had me to talk to when I was searching. And I hope that doesn't sound, full of myself, because that's the last thing that I want to feel like. But I've been given a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm anxious to share it. So I think I've come to my time. I appreciate your being here. Hang out with me and ask some questions. Okay? Bye.